And welcome to another Daily Huddle.
Nudelberg Daily Huddle back for a fantastic Wednesday, a really special treat that we get to have Lori here for 3 straight days. You're working your way closer and closer to getting into the graphic, Lori.
You know, really, I'm trying. I'd like even Mondays I could have a graphic. Can't I have a graphic on Mondays?
I know somebody that might be able to do something about
that. We talk about aspirations. That is a good. It's like
that's my aspiration, to be in that group on Monday.
It is the Mount Rushmore of podcasts,
of live streams. Exactly correct.
Because also, I mean, listen, you guys taught me well. When I have that, I can market it. I can go out and spread the word. And my picture will be there. No, I'm only
is she like flipping the script on us right now, trying to like sell us on why she should be in the picture?
I should be. Maybe I should take some training from the Nudelberg.
Oh, are you sad today, Lori? Did you stay for the entire game last night?
I'm a little tired today, yes. And then the traffic and the flooding was awful. So I didn't get home till about 12:30. But yeah, it was sad. But you know, listen, Boston wanted it bad. They wanted to stop us, and they did. We didn't play our very best. We weren't shooting as well. Third quarter was a mess. So it is what it is. But you know, sweeps are unusual. We'll take it.
Yes,
we'll take it in 5. That's all.
Yes,
we'll give them the gentleman's sweep.
Right. And I like that, Shay. Yeah, we'll take it in 5. That's all.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I think the expectation was definitely way up there.
Yeah.
Boston is a talented team. I don't know where they went for 3 games. It's not like they're a bad team. They're actually equal to or better. Jimmy Butler, you know, they asked him, "Oh my God, does this scare you?" He goes, "This just fires us up. This is go to Boston and win it." So I think that game Wednesday night, or what's tonight, Thursday night, will be very telling. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, you know, whatever. You talk about playing well. Boston played well, so good for them that they played well, but we did not play well. I think the way you came out in the second half, like, you're in the game. You know, you're down 6, whatever. Like, it's your game to have. All you got to do is come out strong at the start of the second half, and you don't. And you spot them 16 points to start the second half, and then they continue to shoot well because they're in a rhythm. You got no chance. So it was very disappointing to me.
Well, you know, so I always take a lot of stuff away from sports, and yeah, I'm disappointed, whatever. But for me, a takeaway for us that are business professionals is that it's all about rhythm and momentum. You know, when things start, that momentum is either going for you or against you. When it's going against you, man, you know, that's what happened in, you know, the other night. It was like, against you, man, forget it, man. You just pack it up and go home. But if you can get it moving,
bubble down,
the balls come your way, all of a sudden it's grooving, and it's really hard to beat a team that, you know, is on a roll, as they say. So
I agree with you. I think, you know, like, if you're going through a slump, you got to really ratchet down and get back to the fundamentals and like really lock in. But if you're doing well, if you've got some momentum flowing to you, like, you should double down on the effort, double down on everything else that you're doing. Like, ride that wave of momentum and energy, because it's only going to carry you that much further in that time frame.
What's interesting, and Lori spoke about this yesterday, is that, you know, it starts to build confidence. All of a sudden, you're not thinking about that shot. Boom, you're just throwing it up there and bang, bang. You know, where was Marcus Smart the whole series? All of a sudden, everything he throws up goes in. So
their whole squad, even, I mean, Jason Tatum played great last night for the first time all series. So.
Yeah, but you know, listen, what you just said, Mark, is in business as well. When you're in a sales, right, biz dev slump, you're in a slump. You got to go back to basics, right?
Right.
You can't let it pull you down. You got to stick to the basics and just stay focused. And when you're on a ride, you're on a ride, right? Like, when it starts coming, all of a sudden it just starts one after the other, which is a great feeling. But Yes. So I think it applies.
So I just want to close that thought before we wake this thing up, that because of the routine I've created for myself, whether I'm high or low, I'm still doing the behavior. Like this morning, I sent out 5 videos to people that I'm connected to, but I'm not really connected to, and I like one was in Washington, D.C. and I go, hey, we're connected. But, that behavior is why we do what we do. Not, so same thing with those guys. They just got in the gym. They did, and all of a sudden it comes back. So anyway, great conversation, great stuff. Today is we got leadership, all about leadership. Shay, wake this thing up and let's get going. Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Wake up, come on, come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more about to thinking, time of thinking ahead. Come on. All right. So I'll set this up with we like focusing, the early part of the week on leadership, and whether you're leading a team, which Lori does, or leading yourself, which we all do. I mean, be the CEO of your own life.
Thanks.
Leadership principles lead success. Simon Sinek, share your thoughts with us, please.
Good leaders are students of leadership, and they're fascinated by the subject. They read books, they watch talks, they're constantly talking about the subject. And companies do have a responsibility, I believe, to offer some of that training. Good leadership training includes skills like, and I mentioned some of these before, how to resolve conflict, how to have an effective confrontation. What happens if something goes wrong or somebody did something badly? Like, how do you tell them in a way that they'll hear that information rather than just be defensive? How to have an effective confrontation, how to have a difficult conversation, how to listen, active listening, where you listen for meaning rather than listening for words. These are learnable, teachable skills. And yes, whatever training department or HR facility you have should provide that training as you make your way through the formal rank structure, so that you are equipped for the new job you have, just like we would if you were in a technical job. So yeah, that's part of it. But also people who, like I said, who aspire to be leaders, they do their own studying. One of the things that I've seen very successful in many companies, and it's very inexpensive, in fact, it's very close to free, is a book club, where somebody says, I want to be a better leader. They choose to read a particular book. And people volunteer and they read 2 or 3 chapters a week and get together at lunchtime or whatever on Friday after work.
So he could go on for days. Thank you for indulging me to play that whole thing. But I know that hit home with you, Lori, because you have done the book club thing. But the point I want from you guys, before we get into some specific question and answer that I'm going to do with you, is you guys are thirsty to learn how to be better leaders. So just comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think when you're not growing, right, you get stale like anything else. So, but I think it's interesting. I was waiting for him to get there, and I was hoping he was going to get there. And I do believe that companies have a responsibility, right, to feed that thirst. But I think people have to take it on there. They have to own their development. Companies absolutely have a responsibility to jump in, but it isn't just the company. And so I was glad to hear him say that. Book clubs are easy. I saw transformation when we did our first book. There was a line in the book, I will never forget it. And everybody, when I asked their takeaway, probably 9 out of 10 gave me this line. Leaders, or anyone who inspires, influences, motivates people, anyone. It doesn't mean you have a team. It could be a volunteer. It could be a mentor. It could be a student. It could be a teacher. It doesn't matter whether they report to you, but when you are inspiring, motivating, influencing people, others to do things, you are a leader. My team thought, well, you're the leader. You're the CEO. And that was a huge mindset shift for us.
Yeah.
And
What
it was free.
what Simon talks about to me is leadership is a lifestyle. Leadership is not a title. It's not a position. It's not the way other people, have to, the way you're aligned in an organizational structure. It's a lifestyle. It's the way you choose to live your life every single day. And I talked about this on Bradley's podcast, which will be out at the end of June. But that was the one thing he said. He said, where does leadership start? And I said, it starts with you.
Yeah.
If you can't lead yourself, then you can't lead anybody else. But that doesn't take the organization off the hook for providing the opportunities, the resources, the time, the people, all of the things necessary to help people who want it. Because if I've got people inside of my organization that want to grow and want to be better and want to adopt that 1% better mindset, and I don't take it upon my responsibility to provide the resources for them, they should have the right to leave. I should not be poo-pooing them for going and finding another opportunity because I didn't recognize who they were and what they wanted and didn't offer the opportunity for them to reach it.
So it's interesting because as a coach of CEOs, I get asked a lot of questions. People come to me, Lori comes to me, built that trust and say, well, what do you think? And the only reason why I can coach, and I said this to somebody yesterday who Lori referred me, I said, listen, I don't give you advice. I give you perspective. I've been there. This is what I did wrong. I'm going to cut the curve for you and say, how are you showing up in this? Is this about you? Is this about your ego? So there's so much about checking yourself at the door because of what you're experiencing. When he says conflict resolution, is this about me? Am I over, am I making more of this than there really is?
So I really wanted to take the conversation there with Lori. Like he touched on a lot of topics in leadership that should be trained on. Love the work that we're doing with Fresh Edge. We're building them Fresh Edge University. We talked about 10 leadership modules for all of the presidents of their operating companies, one of which was conflict management. So Lori, do you have a process or a system or a philosophy around having difficult conversations or conflict management?
This is a great question, man. This is a
So I don't know that I would say that we have a process, right?
Sure.
Or a workshop or something very specific. But I think one of the things that for me as a leader, I am reminding constantly and trying to instill in our team is, right, it takes boldness and courage to have difficult, honest, transparent conversations. I had to have one on Monday. It was extremely difficult. And I had to find a way to balance empathy and caring and compassion with, hey, you're not at this level. You haven't done anything to get to that level. You don't just get a title because you think you've been here a number of years. And we had a really come to Jesus talk. And I think modeling that is one of the ways, I guess you could say that's part of our process, is that we as the leaders, right, the senior leaders, as it trickles down, we need to model having those conversations in a way that finds that balance of empathy and compassion, right? And giving them actual practical tools they can go ahead and I often tell my people, I don't need you to respond. Sometimes you don't have to respond today. I want you to just think about what we're talking about and then come back. If you don't own this, if you think I'm off base or whatever, let's talk about it. But we have to model it. And I think that's the biggest part of the process that sometimes we miss. We say, oh, go take this course. Well, we have to model behavior.
To me, that's the whole point in leadership as a lifestyle. If you don't act as if you're a leader, if you don't live your life as a leader, you're going to be a terrible leader, even if you get put in position to be one. So in order to prepare yourself to be there, you have to act that way. When I think about conflict management, hard conversations, I always think back to The Godfather and like, it's business, it's not personal. But that's not really true in these kinds of conversations. You have to understand that there's going to be emotion from the other side. There's going to be defensiveness. There's going to be anger. There could be sadness. There could be all of these emotions. So to say that it's not personal is almost malpractice. But how do you navigate the emotions around a difficult conversation?
So I think, first of all, I'll use Monday as an example. I told the person, it's somebody that has been with us for a few years, that I truly care about him. I know that he was going through some difficult things at home as well, but they've been for a long time. And I told him that what I say today is coming from a place of caring and love. And I think letting him know that up front was really, really important. And by the way, guys, just want to let everybody know, this was not me 10 years ago. This was not me 7 years ago.
Right.
6 or 7 years ago, I walked in that room, and like Steve would tell me sometimes in our coaching, because we're friends.
You suck.
Right? But I can't say that. I used to say that. I can't say that anymore. So I'm learning as a leader how to model that, but also to let people know up front, I really care about you. You have been a loyal part of our family, our team. However, you can't get here without doing the work. You can't expect this just because of loyalty. But you have to let them know that it's coming from a place of wanting them to be better, wanting to help them get better. And so I think that's part of the process.
So
I'm pumping the brakes for.
Okay.
We have to play motivational music. We'll come back and continue the conversation, but you'll see how appropriate it is. Give me a new John Legend.
I wake and everything is broken, turning off my phone just to get out of bed, get home every evening and history's repeating, turning off my phone cause it's hurting my chest. And heaven knows I'm not helpless, but what can I do? I wanna see. I can't sit and hope. I can't just sit and pray that I can find the love when all I see is pain. Falling to my knees, and though I do believe, I can't just breathe, baby, breathe. I can't just breathe.
Oh my gosh.
So
what's the name of that song?
Preach.
Oh God, I didn't put that on my
listen to the
playlist.
whole song. I mean, I couldn't wait to play it. But there's a line in there that you got to be the change you want to see. You got, which is what you guys were talking about. You can't come in and just walk with a hammer and bang people down all the time. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, so the thing we didn't talk about yet that I think is really important is that you have to separate your own emotion or frustration before you walk into the conversation. Like, you gotta be able to, no matter how frustrated you are with that person and their lack of ability to reach whatever, milestones were set for them, if you enter into that conversation from a place of frustration and allowing your emotion to dictate the way you talk, then whatever you say, even if you try to say that this is coming from a place of caring and loving and what I want from you,
bullshit.
It won't be heard.
Right, because it's bullshit.
Be heard.
You can't
it's going to affect the way that's received. And so you got to find a way to separate yourself from the emotion, which I think it's business. It's not personal. That concept of, I got a job to do here. I can't allow my personal emotions to affect the job I have to do. And then I got to get back to being personal because I got to make it about them. I got to make it why I want this for them and show them that I'm coming to them, not in a place to harm you, but to push you, because what I see in you is maybe more than what you see in yourself or what you're reaching for.
You just nailed it. So you can still be personal. Like Lori said, I deeply care about you, but the fact of the matter is you're not getting the job done. What can I do to help you get to where you want to do? I did it with goal setting. You know, everybody was so busy making goals for other people. I go, let's hear what their goal is. And if their goal doesn't match up to my goal, then I can say, hey, why do I see you differently than you see yourself? I can coach that. I can get you there. But all of this starts with separating yourself. And Lori, I think you have done an amazing job, because this is part of the really difficult work, is looking at yourself. You've looked yourself in the mirror and say, and you've even asked me, is this me? Is this my pet peeve, my shit that I'm bringing to the party? Because I can tell you, as a leader, most of my career, I brought my shit to the party. And people knew it.
And I think there's two things. So a couple people in the chat have mentioned authenticity. I don't know how to be anything but authentic. Maybe it's the New Yorker in me. I don't know what it is, right? The Italian, the Spanish, I don't know, whatever it is, that's just who I am. You get real, you get what it is, right? But what I have learned over the last several years, since I have really, really, really focused in on me, I've always read and done a lot of leadership development stuff, but something clicked about 7-8 years ago, and really just for me just became so intentional of putting it into practice, not just reading about it. And that's key too. You can read all day long. You can go to thousands of workshops, which I did. And guess what? I didn't put it into practice consistently. But something about 7 years ago or something, it was a book I read, I've always talked about them, it clicked for me. You can be authentic. You must be authentic. It's how we are authentic that I think is equally as important, right? So that's that. And the second part is know your audience. I knew that this person, right? We have a relationship over the last 6 or so years.
You better.
Honest with you. What?
Is it you better, right? Yeah. Like if you're leading them, you better have a relationship with them.
I know, some of the personal things we've been there to support. And I said that. We have been there to support you. We care about you. We want to help. But at the end of the day, the board is looking to us to achieve the goals. We set those goals together, right? And so how can I help you or get you the help you need to separate what's happening in this part of your life, because it can no longer affect this part of your life, right?
Lori, you have been so powerful this week. It is.
Well, wait, by the way, I want to tell you, because I do, in case this person is watching, they posted about our conversation the same day.
That's awesome.
And said, today I had a very difficult conversation, but I want to thank the person who told me what they told me, because they called me out. But they did it in a way, right? A loving way. And I need to step it up. That person listened, called it out and thanked, right? Publicly, which I didn't need. And thirdly, I got a document that I had used as an example that, wasn't really your best work.
Yeah.
I got it redone that night.
So what do you think is the most important aspect to ending that conversation? Like, if you're able to separate your emotion, you're able to come from a place of love and concern for that person and communicate where the misses are happening, what's so important about the end of it? How do you leave it the right way?
I think at the end of our conversation, I shared I said, look, I want you to think about our conversation. Mm-hmm. I know it's hard to take feedback sometimes, difficult feedback, and because our first reaction is to respond and get a little defensive, which he did a little bit, but he also kind of said, yeah, you're kind of right. Yep. But I said, I'm here. So I want you to go back and think on it. Is this the right match? Is this the right thing? Right? Are you committed to you want something? Well, go do it. We're giving you the tools. We're giving you the opportunity. You just haven't taken it, but you're expecting it for nothing. What do you want to do? The ball's in your court. I'm here. I will be here. My door is open. My phone is open.
Responsibility.
Thing was, you put the responsibility and the ownership back on them, because you could have all of the difficult conversations that you want and execute them at a really high level. If you don't ever put the responsibility back on that person to say, yes, I agree, and yes, I do want to go there, then you're wasting your time. You're just going to end up running around in the same circle, having the same conversation over and over. So this is awesome. I mean, you said you don't have a process or a system. That is a process and a system right there. The steps you talked about in going through a difficult conversation. Great stuff. Thank you, Lori.
Love. Lori, thanks for spending so much time with us.
Did that get me my picture?
Yeah, no, definitely not. Close.
Oh,
Not
how
quite
many more good ones do I have to have?
There might be something.
Like, I need a
in
goal.
store
I need a goal. I need a number.
there.
What'd you
I
say?
said there might be something in store for you on Monday.
We'll have to quantify.
Well, no. What's in store for us on Monday is a day off.
It's a holiday.
That's where I was getting at.
We are off on Friday.
That's
We are
not
off on
nice, Shay.
Monday.
You're teasing me. Don't tease me, Shay.
Guys, we're off on Friday. We're off on Monday. Lori will see you Tuesday because we don't want to miss out on seeing you. So we'll see you Tuesday. Mark, any closing thoughts?
No, let's go. Let's get down to business. Let's have a great week. We'll finish off the week strong tomorrow with everybody. But you know where to find us. You know where we are. Great, another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business.